Good morning and welcome to Global Morning on the Sunday morning. I hope you had a pleasant night rest and I hope you are ready for what is coming today. So good morning and welcome to Global Morning, coming to you on Global Television from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am your host, Priscilla Obasi. Today is not going to be any different from what we have on Global Morning. It is a conversation, it is a program lined up with interesting conversations on the latest happenings in our country, Nigeria. Of course, on Global Morning we have the newspaper review segment. But before we go to the newspaper review segment, let us just catch up a little with what is happening in the country. First off, the political temperature is definitely rising. Yes, with 2027 feeling like a minute away, we're seeing a lot of movement and speculations around the opposition unity. Of course, with major headlines this week about the formal unveiling of the African Democratic Congress ADC coalition, bringing together prominent figures like the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the Labour Party's Peter Obi, alongside other key politicians. The alliance is already making waves, aiming to present a united front for the 2027 elections. The big question still remains: who will flag the presidential ticket for the ADC? I'm sure Nigerians are wondering, and our hands, everyone is, looking forward to who will flag that ticket in the African Democratic Congress. Let us just, sit back, relax, and wait for what unveils. Now, on the flip side, we've heard about the South APC, and it has already officially adopted President Bola Tinubu as their sole candidate for 2027 at the stakeholders meeting in Benin City, indicating a very early start to campaigns for some. My question still remains: isn't it too early to start campaigning? Is it, in accordance with the constitution to already begin campaigns at this point? I don't know. Nigeria can be funny sometimes, there's even a call for Governor Diri of Bayelsa and Fubara of Rivers State to join the APC fold. These conversations are getting interesting every day. And let's take a flip or take a look at our economy. The economy is, of course, still a hot topic. And we have the latest with the IMF warning Nigeria to urgently review its 2025 budget due to risk of a mounting fiscal deficit driven by failing of falling oil prices and production levels. Discussions around fuel prices and inflation are a constant conversation started, though we've seen a slight relief with NNPCL reducing petrol pump prices to around 910 per litre, and the Dangote refinery also cutting its ex-depot price. Everyone's keeping an eye on the latest efforts to address all of this. But then let's also digress a bit to the security challenges we have going on across different regions. It's ongoing concerns, particularly in the northwest and the southwest. It seems like the discussions around electoral reforms, that is on the whole security, sorry to digress, the whole security consent is really, a topic that needs to be discussed daily, because it looks like everything is getting out of hand. What is happening? What is happening? We're calling on our security agencies to please step up and stop all of these menaces going on in the country. Now, on electoral reforms, we are hearing that the conversation is getting louder. People coming out to outcries everywhere on electoral reforms. And the House of Representatives are looking to replace the 2022 Electoral Act with a new 2025 Act to address gaps from the last election and announcing the Continuous Voters Registration, CVR. And it will begin in Anambra on July 8th, ahead of the governorship elections. I'm just trying to catch up on the latest happenings, around the world, just before we delve into the newspaper review. Now, there's a strong focus on greater transparency and trust in INEC, especially with ongoing calls for dedication or dedicated electoral offences commissions. Everyone is really focused on making sure future elections are smooth and credible as possible. We pray, we hope that, at the end of the day, we will not have stories. INEC, Nigerians do not want to hear stories. We have enough time to plan all of these things. It is 2025, 2 years to the 2027 elections. So this is a time to prepare, to plan, and to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Let us now go for a quick break. When we return, I will bring to you the newspaper review segment where we'll see in context what is really happening. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Global Morning will be right back.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you are just tuning in, this is Global Morning coming to you on Global Television from the nation's capital, Abuja. Right about now, it is time for the newspaper review. Let us see what is happening on our papers today. The first paper we're starting off with is The Guardian newspaper. And then we have the first story here saying on page 10, celebrating Pastor Folu Adeboye at 77. That is the wife of E.A. Adeboye. She is marking her 77th birthday today. It says here, a legacy of educational impact in Africa. Wishing her a beautiful and a fulfilling 77. We have felt her impact in this part of the world. Of course, she has been of great impact as God's blessings to her on this day. And the next story here says on page 26 and 27, Governor Mba, inclusion, transparency, building strong institutions define our governance in Enugu. That is coming from the Enugu State Governor Mba, and you'll find that, of course, on page 26 and 27 of the Guardian newspaper. The next story here says, Tinubu canvasses just energy transition. Tinubu canvasses just energy transition. That you would find on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Is a writer here that says, climate resilient future is a necessity. It says climate resilient future is a necessity. And the next story here on page 3 says, federal government raises the alarm over influx of fake solar products. Yes, I have seen in context roofs getting burnt with poor installations, of solar electricity, and it is a concern. It is a concern. We know that Nigeria, we are known for, I don't know, I don't want to spoil the name in any way, but then I don't know what is it with Nigerians and fake products. When you see something is going on beautifully, there's a new technology, before you know it, somebody gets into that market and try to spoil it. Like, we can do better. We don't have to do all of this. It is not a good thing in any way. We have seen roofs, houses getting burnt because of fake solar products, and whoever is are the people perpetrating this act, we honestly urge that it comes to an end. And let's go to the next story here that says on page 36, Lagos Assembly considers bill on humane services in correctional center. Lagos Assembly considers bill on humane services in correction centers. That's a good one. Yes, we need more humanity in our system. That you'll find on page 36. And then the next story on page 37 says, Nigeria should halt importation of construction materials. That is coming from Scholar. Nigeria should halt importation of construction materials. I don't know why that is being said, but you can find more details about that on page 37 of the Guardian newspaper. And the next story here says, remembering Watergate scandal and danger of crippling opposition. That you would find on the back page. And there is a little ad here that says countdown to the 25th anniversary, beg your pardon. 1 day to go. NDDC, Niger Delta Development Commission, making a difference. That is, the Niger Delta Development Commission is marking its 25th anniversary, and it is 1 day to go. The next story here says, poor facilities funding diminish cancer patients' access to health care. Poor facilities and funding diminish cancer patient access to health care. Our healthcare system is still not in a state we are proud of as a nation, and we hope the Minister of Health listening, or is listening at this moment, or anyone close to him listening. We need a change in the healthcare systems. Our politicians fly out of the country when they need their health to be attended to. How about the poor masses? How about those that cannot afford the services? This is our country, and Together we can make it great, because it is going to benefit each and every one of us. So I really urge everyone in power really to look into this. Like, let us look into making our own country better. We don't have to travel out of the country to get the best treatment. We can have it here. Yes. Please, please, please. This is, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians are pleading alongside me. Okay, so let's go to the next story here. The next paper, Weekend Trusts, from the Trust, Daily Trust newspaper. The first story here on page 20 says, we're underburdened to exorbitant charges, epileptic supply. Band A customers have been crying out for a long time. Why do I keep paying so much for electricity when I don't get the value for what I'm paying for? The electricity supply is epileptic, and that is what we are saying right now. Can something be done about this? The Minister of Power, can something be done about this? I mean, we ought to have gone past all of this, like, as a nation. Nigeria is so great. We can do better. Yes, so please, Band A members are crying out for that. And you find that on page 20 of the Weekend Trust. That is the Daily Trust newspaper. The second story here says, on page 29, court orders Senate to recall Natasha. Court orders Senate to recall Natasha. Well, I saw on the internet during the week, or I think it was yesterday, with Aisha Yusufu, making her own, concern, saying the court shouldn't have given that order to the Senate. They should have called her back themselves. I don't know if they have the power to do that, but please, we hope that things go well, because the court has ordered her to the court has ordered the Senate to recall Natasha, and we want that to be done as soon as possible. I'm sure that is also the heart of a lot of Nigerians. I mean, the constitution, the constituency she's representing have been, not been represented for a long time, as long as this whole drama had been going on, and I'm sure they're not happy with that. So please, the Senate, I hope they quickly, adhere to this instruction from the court. You want to find out more about that story on page 27 of the Daily Trust paper. And there's still a big story here that says, how far can ADC go? How far can ADC go? Is it possible for a party to unseat the ruling party? We've seen that play out in Nigeria, yes. So I can say for a fact that it is still possible. Of course, never say never. Everything is possible. But then, how ready are the ADC? Are they going to bring a candidate that the Nigerian people really want? I hope that is a decision that they really look into, take into consideration, because at this moment, I really feel like if the ADC wants to go far, they have to bring out the people's choice. Else, they might not, be able to unseat or even compete with the current APs. That is just my perspective, though. What do you think? You want to give us your own comment on our handles? Yes, let us hear your thoughts. Let us continue the conversation. Let us feel your own thoughts, of course, on our social media handles. You can leave a comment on our handles at Global TV NG, on any of our handles, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and all other social media platforms. Just leave your thoughts on the conversation. Now let's go to the next story. Next story here says, troops recover 60 LEDs, kill suspected terrorist in Borno. Wow. The matter of insecurity, the issue of insecurity is right now is no longer a concern. It is I don't know what to call it at this moment, because it has gone beyond consent. I mean, it is a threat right now. It is affecting our mental health as a nation. You're going about your activities, and then you hear a sad news. You're almost sure that every week Every week you're going to hear a sad story about insecurity. It's almost it's becoming a norm. Like, you cannot go past a week without hearing all of these things. You can even boil it down to, you can even, play it down to daily activity right now. And this is not good. I don't know. These are people's lives, people's lives at risk. You cannot go to bed and sleep and be sure of, waking up the next morning because of the fear of insecurity. Some people cannot even sleep in peace. I'm sure people in, Benue State and all of the states that are going through this drama, this menace, I don't even know how they sleep. We really hope, we really pray. At this point, do we even say it is prayer? Because we have what it takes. We have what it takes. We have all the technology that it takes. The world has gone past all of these things. We have technologies to track these things. What is even happening? Please, we want to hear an end to this. I personally am tired. Nigerians are tired. We don't want to hear the stories anymore. We hope and pray that government looks into this and that this becomes a story or history. And the next story here says, Buhari, David Mark, Amechi, Sirika, Egonga, Bode George in the news. What are they in the news for? What is happening to them? You want to see that on page 27 of the Daily Trust. And of course, the ad here that also says countdown to the 25th anniversary of the Niger Delta Development Commission making a difference. 1 day to go. Okay, let's go to the next story, or the next paper. The next paper I will be taking is the Sunday Times. The Sunday Times. The first story here says, don't remove labor from Excel dissuasive lists. NLC tells NAS. Don't remove labor from Excel dissuasive lists. NLC tells the NAS. That is a hard cry from the NLC president Georgiou to the National Assembly. Okay, the next story here says on page 11, how we rescued 40 kidnapped Ghanaians. That is from their police. How we rescued 40 kidnapped Ghanaians from the police there. Another story here says, Samuel's family mourns his suicide mother goes mute. Samuel's family mourns his suicide mother goes mute. The next story here says, Constitution review. NAS urges stakeholders to lobby state lawmakers. NAS urges stakeholders to lobby stakeholders. You find that on page 2 of the Nigerian daily newspaper. That is the Sunday Times. And then another story on page 8 here says, Smidan, Kaduna signs 1 billion naira deal to power MSMEs growth. Kaduna signs 1 billion naira deal to power MSMEs growth. Let's see how that plays out. You want to find out more about that on the page 6 of the Sunday Times. And on page 4 here, it says 2027 South APC adopts Tinubu as sole candidate. I wonder who makes this bold statement. Is this a proper representation of the South people, or is it just one person speaking on behalf of the people? Because these stories are really amazing. I know that if I go to the South and speak randomly to all the citizens there, would I hear the same story? Is this a unanimous agreement with the South people? I really wonder who comes out to represent the South people. So they say that they adopted Tinubu as a sole candidate. Well, is it an interesting times ahead, right? As we approach the 2027 elections, I'm sure we'll see more dramas unfold. So the next story here says, Adeleke denies defection to APC. And he says, I remain in the PDP. Governor Adeleke of Osun State denies defecting to APC. Governor Adeleke has been a loyalist to APC for the longest. So, and time after time, he has come out to debunk these claims of defecting. He's saying he's going nowhere. He remains strong with the PDP. Interesting times ahead again. 2077 is going to be filled with lots of interesting dramas. I can tell you that for a fact. Now let's go to the next paper here. That is the Tribune newspaper. Okay, what is happening on the Tribune newspaper? The first story here says, ADC could be dark horse of 2027, but that is coming from stakeholders. So let's find the buts to that statement by getting a copy of the Tribune newspaper and checking the page 4 and 30 of the story. There are about 3 riders there on that paper. The first one says, PDP leaders say party not afraid of ADC, ready to unseat APC. PDP leaders are saying the party is not afraid of ADC. Okay, so we still have some members of the PDP with some other members defecting. There have been a lot of defections in the news. Nigerian political space is crazy, funny, interesting, all the words and adjectives you can use to describe it. You're correct, whatever one you choose to use. But some people have stayed back in the PDP saying, we know we are not going nowhere. We remain here. And they are confident that they will challenge the APC. We hope this is not a political game, of course, but let us, cross our hands and as things unfold. The second rider there says, coalition bound to fail. APC cheating. Which of them? I don't know. Coalition bound to fail. Well, will it fail? Of course, everybody has to stay strong and speak positive so that, they say there's power in words, right? So at this point, I think it's that time where Nigerians or political party members are being very positive, staying positive so that, they don't spread negativity in the air, because right now bloggers are willing to carry any news you say about this thing. So everybody's trying to be positive, everybody's trying to stay strong with their party, but like I said, and like I have always said, let us see how things unfold. The third rider there says, South APC adopts Tinubu for governors for 2027. Again, I ask, who are those people adopting this, people? Is it a unanimous agreement, or is it just a faction of people coming together that think they have a voice and they are the owners of the state? I don't know, but let us hope that this is a clear representation of all the members in the South, all the citizens in the South. Yeah. So the next story here says, by the way, you can find all of that on page 4 and page 30 of the Tribune paper. Let's go to the next story. Still on page 4, it says, on insecurity, ex-army boss Ihejirika warns mandatory military trainings for Nigerians. He wants a mandatory military training for Nigerians. Oh, interesting. Who will be part of this training? Is this training for every single Nigerian? Because it is what I see. So get ready. Get ready, pick up your boots. We're all going to be trained as Nigerians so that we can together with the military fight insecurity. I hope this is not what is being stated here, but it is looking like what it is. So Nigerians, is this a call to the male, or is it the female? Is it the youth? Is it the old? Well, I'll call everyone, old, young, man, woman, get ready to be trained, because as in this current situation, everybody needs to train themselves. You don't know when these things will just come to your doorstep. You need to just be alert security, and adding a training to it, those sound sarcastic, but I mean it is becoming a necessity right now. Let's go to the next rider here that says it should begin from NYSC. Respect the rule of law, crucial to fight against insecurity. Okay, that is another one. So let's go to the first one. The first one here says, that the training should begin from NYSC. Okay, now it's getting more interesting. They want to start this training from the National Youth Service Corps, the members of the National Youth Service Corps. So if you're in camp right now, or if you're about, you just graduated and getting ready for camp, you better be ready to be trained to help fight insecurity. Is this not interesting? Well, should I say that I'm glad I've gone past that, or is this a loss on my own part because I'm just about to miss a wonderful training? I'm going to use some of us that have gone through NYSC. I think we still have memories of the little trainings we received there, so maybe we'll just have to revisit it and do some self-training to help fight insecurity, because this is really funny if you ask me. I don't know, why do we have security chiefs? Why do we have security personnel in the country? Why do we have to incorporate civilians to help us fight insecurity? Is Nigeria again not an interesting place? I ask. You want to follow these conversations, you want to drop your 2 cents on our social media platforms, please go ahead. What do you think? Do you think our NYSC corps members should be employed to help fight insecurity? Is this a good move? Are you saying a yes to it? Are you saying no to it? What do you think about this? Drop your comments on our social media platforms and let's continue the conversation from there. The next writer here says, respect the rule of law, crucial in fighting against insecurity. That is coming from St. Kuka. It says, respect the rule of law, crucial to fighting insecurity. Okay, now this is a good, statement here. I am in support of it. If we want to make the nation work, we all have to put our hands on deck. It is not a one-person thing. It is a collective effort. Yes, you cannot say that we want Nigeria to be better and on your own path you're not doing what it takes to make Nigeria better. If the law says this, please let us all be law-abiding citizens. Respect the rule of law to take us from point A to point B. We're all praying for a better Nigeria. We all want a new Nigeria, and it starts with every single one of us making an effort to make it better. Yes, I am of the opinion that, of course, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our leaders have a big responsibilities. When they model the right path for their citizens, it becomes easy. But at the same time, you cannot leave it solely in their hands. You have your own part to do. You cannot say you want a better Nigeria and you go ahead, taking bribes and all of that. No. You cannot say you want a better Nigeria and on your own part, when you have the opportunity to say no to evil, you cannot just resist the temptation. I understand the fact that the economy is really hard right now, but I mean, it is a sacrifice we all need to make our country better. So please, I am imploring every one of us, if you are watching me right now on any of our platforms, on TV, kindly make your own, decision. Be a part of making this country better. Now let's go to the next story here that says 145 died in Lassa fever in 20 states in 6 months. Now, this is really interesting. On page 27, you find that a writer there that says, Ondo, in Bauchi, in Edo, in Taraba, Ebonyi, most affected. We've been hearing of the Lassa fever thing. I don't know if you think it's serious, but this is, of course, an indicator to tell you that it's serious than you think. We already have 145 people dead due to Lassa fever. Please be cautious. Do every study you need to do. Read up. Make sure you don't fall the victim, and most of all, enlighten people around you. Tell them Lassa fever is real and what they need to do to avoid it. Yes, I'm sure in due time we'll have a medical personnel to come educate us on global television about this topic. Now let's go to the next story there that says, resident doctors reject federal circular on review of allowance. Resident doctor rejects federal circular on review of allowance. You find that on page 30 of the newspaper. Our doctors are saying no. What is the review of allowance about? You want to find out more, or you want to find out more about that on page 30 of the newspaper. That is the Tribune newspaper. And then we have on page 27 here, says houses damaged as 3-day rainfall wreaks havoc in Ondo State. The season, the climate change has been kind of epileptic. It's not been steady. We've not really had constant rainfalls, and I'm sure this is also affecting farmers. But it is surprising to see that it has caused rains. With this, it tells you that it is not a constant thing in all states. It's clear that some states are having more rainfalls than other states, with Ondo states having, rain wrecks. We hope that this doesn't get so bad, and we call for, immediate intervention from the government in Ondo State to those affected by this havoc. Let's go to the next story here that says, lobby state legislatures for state police. New states, NAS tells stakeholders. Lobby state legislature for state police. New states, NAS tells stakeholders. And we have some writers there. The first one says, don't attempt to remove labor provisions for exclusive to concurrent list, NLC warns. Don't attempt to remove labor provisions from exclusive to concurrent list, the NLC has warned. And another writer there says, Southwest speakers seek law to tackle boundary dispute. Southwest speakers seek law to tackle boundary disputes. Of course, it is an interesting read on the Tribune newspaper this morning. You want to find out more about that, get yourself a copy on the Tribune newspaper. And like I said, don't forget to drop your thoughts, to drop your comments on our social media handles. Let us see what you have to say about what is happening. Now let's go to the next story, or the next paper, which is the Punch newspaper. The first story there says, inside bone setting homes where patients live with permanent disabilities. Inside bone setting homes where patients live with permanent disabilities. This is, of course, I think it's talking about a bone setting home. Inside bone setting. We want to find out more about that by getting yourself a copy of the Punch. That is on page 16 and 17. I've heard crazy stories about this bone homes. Yeah, some people go there and they don't come back the same. Some people go there and they experience every kind of abuse. Yes, I've heard a true life story, one-on-one from someone. So this is also an awareness to anyone that is trying to visit such place. You should do your research, you should do your findings well before trusting people, especially if you're in that state where you are incapacitated, you can't do a lot. If danger comes at you, there is little or nothing you can do to save yourself. So before you approach such help or such facility, or I don't know what to even call it, but you have to be very careful. Be very careful. Yes. Now let's go to the next story there that says, David Mark, root cause of PDP crisis. That is coming from Bode George. How is this possible? Our politicians are interesting people. Very interesting. So now, Bode George is coming out to blame David Mark of being the root cause of PDP crisis. I am expecting a comeback from David Mark to defend this, because it's now a boost something on, with our politicians, where one is giving a comment and before you know, the other person gives his own comeback. I saw something similar with our FCT minister and Dele Momodu over the weekend, where the FCT minister accused Dele Momodu of some funny activities, just coming out to wash some dirty linen outside, and then Dele Momodu coming back at him. I mean, is this what it is? Is it what it is? I mean, we should have our leaders, model some kind of good attributes and character, so that our youth and our children watching will be, will learn. So we don't know what is happening, but we already have someone coming out again to label David Mark as the root cause of the crisis. Let's see what David Mark has to say when he gets to see this. Well, let's go to the next story. You'll find out more about that on page 7. The next story here says, 7 coalition leaders interested in Tinubu's seat. Ex-ADC national chair. 7 coalition leaders. I guess that includes, does that include, I don't want to assume. I want to ask, does that include the ADC? And when they say coalition leaders, are we talking about different coalition groups? Or are we talking about just one coalition group with 7 of them in it? Of course, that is not going to be a nice thing. So we hope and pray that everything goes well. It might not come as smoothly as it should. It might not come as smoothly as you think. But in the end, we would have a winner, right? Let the best man win. And of course, let the people's voice speak. That is the most important thing. Now let's go to the next story there that says, discuss rake in 553 billion naira amidst poor power complaints. That is on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. The next story there says, church takeovers in industrial estates, sign of revival. PFN President Bishop Okay, that you find on page 9 of the paper. The big story here, interesting big story here, says 2027 PDP fights for survival amidst ADC APC pressure. Page 4, we have 2 riders there that says party begins, begs leaders, PEP members not to join coalition, why Atiku Obi have no left parties for ADC. It's been an interesting discourse here, or paper review right now on Global Morning. Let's just take a quick break. When we come back, we'll just round up for the paper review, give our comments, and then we'll close for the show. But please don't go anywhere. We still have something, for you. Please stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning, coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. Of course, I still remain your host for this morning, Priscilla Obasi. We have been looking at the newspaper with lots of interesting conversations. We didn't have to bring a guest this morning because there have been interesting news over the weekend, and we thought to, dissect this paper with you this morning. And like I said, drop your comments, drop your review. What do you think about what is happening, the happenings around you this morning? Drop it on our handles on all our social media platforms. Now, let's go to the next paper. That is the Nation newspaper. Our first story here says PDP counts losses as defection to APC. Others mount. PDP counts losses as defections to APC. Others mount, and that is on the 2027 elections. The 2027 election has come up with over the weekend, or over the last 1 week, with interesting conversations about party members defecting, new coalition groups coming, to, in their words, that is the only way they have to challenge the current party. So they feel like they're playing they're playing Tinubu's game, in their words. Well, we are looking forward to how this plays out eventually. Now, there is a story there that says 2027 South APC endorses Tinubu governor as sole candidate, passes votes of confidence in Akpabio and others. Nigerians, you need to have a voice, have a way to lend your voice. And we urgently need an electoral reform. I don't still understand how one person comes out, or a group of action comes out to say this is the voice of the people. Are the people really represented in this statement? That is my question. How many people are endorsing Tinubu as the sole candidate? How many people? And this is coming from South APC. Okay, this is a party thing, right? So it is APC endorsing it, right? Not particularly the people. Okay, we understand that APC is endorsing it, but is it the people's voice? We don't know, right? So let's go to the next story there that says Natasha must apologize before recall. That is coming from Senate spokesman on page 6. Why does she have to apologize? The court has given its ruling and has even fined her on her own part of offense. And then the Senate is saying Natasha must apologize. Is this part of the ruling? Does it sit well? Is this supposed to be a norm? Does she have to apologize even after the court has given its verdict? Why did the court have to leave it in the hands of the Senate? Couldn't they have, reinstated her themselves? I believe there are laws to these things, right? But is this a norm? Should this be? Lawyers in the house, can you drop a comment on our social media platforms? Does Natasha have to apologize before she is being reinstated? We are happy with the fact that the court has told the Senate to reinstate her, but does she really have to apologize? Does she have to? Well, I want to hear your thoughts about it. I am also asking that question because I am not very sure of that very law, but I just felt like, the court has given it to them and the law should take its course. Anyways, let's go to the next story that says NBS may unveil rebased figure for economy July 11. NBS may unveil rebased figure for economy on July 11. Okay, that is it on the Nation newspaper. Now let's go to sports. It's punchy on Sports Extra this morning. Let's have a quick look on the stories. The first one here says Ekong Diko back Falcons for the 10th crown. That you will find, I think, on page 2. And then we are competing to win. That is coming from Ajibade, still on page 2. South Africa coach eyes back-to-back titles. South Africa coach eyes back-to-back titles. Still on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. On page 7 here it says my last moment with Rufai. That is coming from Shurunmi. My last moment with Rufai. The next one here says Juve Al Hilal Gala in Osimhen race. That is from Fabri. So you want to find out more about that on page 6 of the Punch Sports Extra. The next story on page 3 here says Al Nassr launch Modrigo move. Al Nassr launch Modrigo move. You find that on page 3. And on page 8 here it says 9-man Parisians crush Bavarians. 9-man Parisians crush Bavarians. Okay, let's go to page 8 of the Punch newspaper. It says Jota brother buried in Portugal. It was a very sad weekend for sports lovers, as a very important figure was lost in a car crash. That is talking about Jota and his brother. We pray that their soul rest in perfect peace and God gives them, the family, the fortitude to bear the loss. The next story on page 3 says Rashford dealt Barca transfer blow. Rashford dealt Barca transfer blow. Okay, the next story on page 5 says Arsenal advance Mudue case talk. Arsenal advance Mudue case talk. Okay, let's see how it goes for Mudue with talks with the Arsenal team and the Arsenal leadership. And the next story here says Atletico to make new 25 million pounds Iwobi's bid. Atletico to make 25 million pounds Iwobi's bid. And on page 6 here it says Kolawole wins Spanish wrestling Grand Prix gold. Kolawole wins Spanish wrestling Grand Prix gold. If you're not considering sports, you should start to consider sports, even if not for yourself or your children, because people are making lots of money in sports. Now the big story here says Nigeria versus Tunisia. Start the mission. Falcon battles Eagle in Casablanca as chase for the 10th title begin. Falcons battle Eagle in Casablanca as chase for the 10th title begin. We pray, we hope that victory is ours at the end of the day. We want victory. That is all we want. So we need to support them, right? So give them your support. Pray for them, of course. We want victory in Nigeria. And on page, okay, I think that is all right now on the Punch Sports Extra. Like I said, if you have not been thinking sports, you got to start thinking about it. Think about sports for your children. Of course, sports is a way to keep yourself fit, healthy. So, if you have not been fit, if you have not been thinking health, start to think about it. Because in the long run, I hope you don't regret. If you're young right now, you feel like, I don't have any problems. Or if you think I am not on the fat side, so I don't need sports. Only people on the slim side need sports. That is an error. You should go sporty for health purposes. Yeah, so it has been an interesting conversation on Global Morning this morning, from the, political talks to the economic talks. So it's just, I think it's basically, we've had those papers basically talk about more on the politics space, and we also spoke about security concerns in security concerned states. Yes, so I hope you have been informed this morning. Yes, I trust you have been. And I would like to also say for the last time, please drop your 2 cents, drop your thoughts on the latest happenings this morning on our social media platforms. I have been informed, and I want you to go with this information as you go into your day. Don't pass false information, please. Basically only what you have verified. Yes, it is an era where social media is in vogue, and people just want to spread false news. Please make sure you verify news before you spread them. Don't believe everything you see, and that is why we bring up this newspaper review segment, so that we give you the verified details of the latest happenings we have in the country. At this juncture, I would want to close the curtains for Global Morning this morning. Of course, Global TV still has programs outlined throughout the day, interesting programs you don't want to miss out, right? So we're closing Global Morning this morning just to link up with other of our interesting programs on lined up for you today. Please stay with us on Global Television, but at this moment I'm drawing the curtains on Global Morning. I still remain your host, Priscilla Obasi, and this is me wishing you an amazing, beautiful, fantastic day ahead. Go and conquer today, right? Yeah, until I come your way again, please stay informed. Bye-bye.